Vyathayanti
Yathyanti
are distressing.
are distressing.
Ete,
Ite
all these.
all these.
Purusham,
Purusham
to a person.
to a person.
Rishabha,
Purushabha
the best among men.
the best among men.
Kama,
Ama
altered.
unaltered.
Ha,
Dukha
distress.
and distress.
Kam,
Come
and happiness.
and happiness.
Hiram,
Dhiram
patient.
patient.
Saha,
Taha
he.
he.
Ratvaya,
Amritvaya
for liberation.
for liberation.
Kalpate
Kalpate
is considered eligible.
is considered eligible.
Translation: the best among men,
So best among men,
Arjuna,
Arjuna,
the person who is not disturbed
the person who is not disturbed
by happiness and distress,
by happiness and distress,
and is steady in both,
and studies in both,
is certainly eligible
is certainly eligible
for liberation.
for liberation.
Report: anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. In the Varnashram institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order, sannyas, is a painstaking situation. But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order of life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having to severe family relationships, to give up the connection of wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path of liberation, surely his path of self-realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to preserve, even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24, and his dependents, young wife, as well as old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet, for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage. मुख्यान्तिमन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयंरूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणो रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च श्रीकृष्णकरुणासिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी सुते देवी
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
सुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषदेशतारिणे Hare Krishna. So today we are discussing 15th sloka of second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In this sloka, Lord Krishna explained to Arjuna that the person who is actually dhira, who is very patient, who have patience and intelligent person. In 13th sloka also this word dhira is used for the person who can understand that this body is changing, but we are not changing. So after the complete change of this body, we get the new one. So we are not disturbed by such change of body. Like in this life, body changing from boyhood to youth to old age, like that. After death, body again changed in new one. So he is not disturbed. Hira tatra na muhyati, the sober person who know the science of soul, he is not disturbed by such a change. So Krishna is expanding that definition that if the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. He can taste the nectar. Somrat tvaya kalpate. Who can taste the nectar? Who is actually patient? Who is dhira? Dhiram. Sama sukha dukha. Sama dukha sukha dhiram. So Prabhupada is explaining that anyone who is steady in his determination for advanced stage of self-realization and can equally tolerate the onslaught of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. So, what is the duty of us in human life? That we should try for self-realization. So, Brahma Jigyasa. Now we have got this human form of life, so it's our duty to do effort to know what is the real thing, what is what, to know the thing as they are, is the real knowledge. So what we are, why we are living in this material world, what is the connection of us with this material nature, what is the connection of this material nature with the Supreme, what is the connection of soul with the Supreme. These are the things that an intelligent person should know. So this is the duty of every human being to know the answer of these questions. These are the real questions. So Sanatana Goswami asked these questions to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They meet. Sanatana Goswami said, "Kyami kene amaya jare taptre." Sometimes people appreciate me very much, and I accept that appreciation. I think that I am a great scholar, but what is the use of this scholarship? I don't know who am I and why I am suffering from these threefold miseries in this material world. And how can I get rid of from these miseries? I don't know. So what is the use of this so-called scholarship? What is the use of this so-called material opulence or material prestige? If I am not able to know why I am suffering and how to remove this suffering, then there is no use of this scholarship. So that should be the question of every human being. And if we are inquisitive about this to get answer of these questions, then we can advance in spiritual life. So when we advance, gradually we advance in spiritual life, then what is our duty? Even after a considerable advancement in a spiritual life, still there is a chance of fall down. Then the duty is to tolerate. What to tolerate? Tolerate the distress and happiness. Because when till that time, when we are living in this material world, there will be distress and there will be happiness. Both, both are the two faces of this material world. It's sure. Heaven, we can go to temple, heaven we can go to jungle, any forest, or we can go to any other planets heaven. The happiness and distress will be there. Even in the heavenly planets, demigods have so much facility of happiness, but still distress is also there. Sometimes demons attacks on demigods, they terrified demigods, they beat demigods, they uh, get out, they send them out from the heavenly planets. They take all the facilities from them. So they are distressed in heavenly life also. So what we can speak of this earthly life? There is surely some distress will come. That is the check of our spiritual advancement also. Krishna said in 12th chapter that the person who is equal in pains and pleasure, who is equal in distress and happiness is very dear to me. So if there will be no distress and no happiness, only happiness or only distress, then how can we check our progress? How can we know that we are advancing? So Krishna arrange this thing for devotees. So it's our duty, even after a considerable advancement in spiritual life, to maintain that advancement. The main problem or main trouble comes by these two things, happiness and distress. Sometimes so much prestige we get, so much appreciation we get, that we will bewildered, our intelligence is bewildered, we forget Krishna. We take all credit to oneself. I am so great. That is one type of fall down. And the second time, when we get severe distress, then we think that what is the use of this bhakti? After doing so for so many years, still I am getting the same problems. Still I am getting the distress, those situations. So what is the use of this bhakti? Better to stop this bhakti. That is one type of forgetfulness of Krishna. This is also one type of fall down. So the steady person means who can tolerate these two things. Hira, who can tolerate the sama, dukha, sukha. How can we tolerate the sukha and dukha, or distress and happiness? By keeping our activities, by uh, treating these things, these situations in equal state of mind. What should be that state of mind? That we should utilize the situation in serving Krishna. Whatever may be the situation, we should increase our service mood, increase our love towards Krishna, increase our devotion towards Krishna. Should see the opportunity how can, in distressful situation, we can increase our surrender to Krishna. We can fully surrender to Krishna. Now I am so much distressed. What can I do? I am totally surrendered to you. In happiness, we can give all the results of that happiness to Krishna. That only by your mercy, Krishna, I am getting this happiness. So there is no credit from my side. Only by your causeless mercy, I am getting this. So we can surrender happiness to Krishna also. So then only we can maintain equal state of mind, and that is the perfect state of mind. And that is then if we have this, then it's our rightful claim to get the kingdom of Krishna, the abode of Lord. And that is stated by Lord Brahma in his prayers to Krishna in Shrimad Bhagavatam 14th chapter. He said, I'm not able to remember that shloka completely, but he said that Hridavak Vapurbhu Vidhan Namaste Jivet Yo Mukti Pade Sadaya Bharat. So in the previous two lines, he stated that when some pains come in the life of devotee, he accept these pains that it's my own past misdeeds. The pain I am getting due to my past bad work or bad sinful activities, sinful reaction I am getting. And if he gets some good results, he give all credit to Krishna. And what he do while tolerating these two things? Hritavak Vaprubhi Vidhandan Namaste. Either he is in a distressful situation or in a happy condition, he surrendered himself by heart, Hirdvak, by his voice, Vapu, his body, and Hirdvak, Vapurvi, with Zan Namaste. By these, he again and again offer his humble obeisances to Krishna. Again and again, he surrender himself to Krishna. Then that is the devotee who can claim his rightful claim. जो जीवित मुक्ति पदे सदाए भाव. The Mukti path or the abode of Lord Krishna or the lotus feet of Lord Krishna becomes the rightful claim of that devotee who can tolerate these things and simultaneously increase his service attitude toward Krishna. He completely surrendered himself in service of Krishna by his mind, by his heart, by his body. Then it's become the rightful claim of that devotee to get the lotus feet of Krishna. So that is very beautiful sloka, very famous sloka also. But I only able to remember two lines. So in the Varna Ashram Institute, Prabhupada is explaining that there are many situations of distress and happiness also. So in the Varna Ashram Institute, the fourth ashram, Sannyas Ashram, there is many struggle in the Sannyas Ashram. One pain striking problem is that he has to he has to leave his family life, his wife, his children. He have to accept the difficulty of giving up the connection with the wife and children. So, but if he wants some higher benefit, then he has to tolerate such difficulties. So in Brahmacharya ashram, in Grihastha ashram, Sannyas ashram, there are many different varieties of difficulties one has to tolerate. So he has to tolerate his senses. He has to engage his senses in service of Krishna and tolerate his senses from the sense gratification. In Grihastha ashram, he has to engage his senses in many type of material activities, and along this he has to work for Krishna also. He has to handle all the results of his work to Krishna. In one prasthashram, he has to do many type of austerities in forest, and in sannyas ashram, he has to serve Krishna by traveling from one place to another and by guiding others in service of Krishna. So there are many struggles in different type of ashramas. But if one want to get the higher benefit, then he has to tolerate these things. Even he get uh, many type of chances to get engaged in sense gratification. Still, he has to tolerate himself. Then only he can advance in his spiritual life. Because if he is engaged, indulged more in sense gratification, then it's difficult to advance in his spiritual life. That's why Goswami said, "Tyahara prayasascha vijalpo niyamagraha janasangascha punyascha sadguru bhakti vinashyati." Things one has to avoid in order to advance in a spiritual life. What are these things? We have to avoid atyahara, eating more than necessary or collecting more than necessary. Atyahara prayasascha, to do endeavor for such things which is very hard to get. It is very difficult and there is no good use of those things. So the time and energy is wasted in that effort. So Atyahara Prayasasya Prajalpo, to talk about the nonsensical things. Niyamagraha, to attach with some particular rules very much or not following any rules which is helpful in advancing Krishna consciousness. Prajalpo Niyamagraha Jan Sanghasya, to associate with the worldly minded peoples, Jan Sanghasya Lolyasya, and uh, to have the hankering to get many things. So these are six things which is very dangerous for devotional service.
Prabhuji, what is the sixth thing?
Lolyam cha. Lolyam means the desire to get various type of sense gratifications. These are six things we have to avoid in order to advance in Krishna consciousness or in spiritual advancing in the spiritual life. So this is the second shloka of nectar of instruction. Prabhupada has given a very large purport on the every shloka of nectar of instruction. So if you want to read, you can read in detail from that place. Sometimes the lowly means greed or ardent longing, desire to get more and more sense gratification or something which is not related to Krishna. Lolyam is needful if it's for Krishna, but lolyam is dangerous if it's for material thing. So, in order to advance in spiritual life, we have to tolerate such things, tolerate the urges of our senses. So, like in the Sannyas Asana, Prabhupada is explaining, he's giving example of Lord Chaitanya. He takes sannyas in 24 years. He has a beautiful wife and an old mother, and there is no one to help them, to take care of them. Still, for higher aim, Lord Chaitanya takes sannyas. So, for higher aim, we have to tolerate, we have to give up our desires for sense gratification if we want to achieve some higher goals. And like that, Prabhupada is saying that Arjuna, he has to discharge the duties as a Kshatriya. He has to fight with his family members or similarly beloved person. Still, it's duty of the Kshatriya to fight. If it's needful, if family members or other beloved persons, they break the rules, then the duty of a person who is in charge or who is the authority of that particular system, it's duty of that person, he should equally treat them. And if there is need to punish them, whether they are family members or other person, it's the duty of the authority that he should treat everyone equally. It's not like that if they are family members, then we give some special uh, treatment to them, and for other persons we will be as very strict. Whether we commit mistake or our beloved person commit mistake, we should give same. Even for own self, we should become more strict. But for others, we should be liberal if there is need, and if there is need to punish them, then we should punish. So Krishna is saying this to Arjuna that you should be strict because your family members are doing wrong. So you should punish them. So it's your duty. You are Kshatriya and you have the power. You have the capacity to treat them. So it's your duty to treat them nicely. So others will take a lesson from that and they will not repeat the same mistake again and again. So sometimes to discharge our duty, we have to tolerate the distress and happiness. Sometimes it's very tough to give a proper decision for own family member, but we should we should tolerate these things and take our decision according to will of Krishna, according to desire of Krishna, according to the rules and regulation given by Krishna. Then we will be happy, and the person which is related to us, he will get also good result. He will get the proper benefit. That's why there is a system of punishment, not to uh, give, not to for the purpose to give pains to others, but to correct them, correct the tendency of commit mistakes or commit sinful activities. Then others can take lesson and they will become good person. So this is the duty of a Kshatriya, to punish the defaulters. So Krishna is saying this. So for that we have to tolerate the pains and pleasure, distress and happiness. In every situation we have to tolerate these things. Then only we can take correct decision. Sometimes we like something, sometimes we dislike something. But our like and dislike should be based on desire of Krishna. Krishna wants something, we should be ready to do. Even for that, we have to tolerate our desires. If Krishna don't not like, then we have to do that. Even we dislike it. So that is the proper candidate who can get the real nectar. Somrit Tvaya Kalpate, who can tolerate the distress and happiness and who is able to discharge his duties according to the scriptures, he will get real nectar. He will get real success of life. So we will stop here. Hare Krishna, Prabhupada ki jai, Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. If you have any question, you can ask. Stop here.
No questions, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. So we will recite one time Hare Krishna mantra and stop here. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.